All right, folks, and we are live on a Saturday. Welcome into SportsbookReview.com's closing line edition for Saturday. I'll be host today, Donnie Rightside, along with the big man on campus. Major League Baseball is on our minds right now. A full slate all throughout the day. Jeff, one of my favorite shows for us to do to the week. We get down to the nuts and bolts, try to uncover some gems out there because the goal of everybody is to win money. Correct, big man?
Oh, yeah. Saturday morning, Donnie, we'll get back at it today. Hopefully we can find a couple winners. Interesting games last night. You know, Cubs come back, get a big 7th and 8th inning, I think it was. You had a couple games late. You had a long game between the Mariners and Rays. Oakland scores a 16 spot. So, yeah, I mean, we'll hit the card, break down every game, and try to find some value here.
Yeah, no, just sending out some links right now. So if you like it, retweet the show, bring some new people in. Let's see if we can have a great live chat box out today. Share that information. Get that money and get after it. But you're right, some interesting games for sure yesterday. For some reason, Jeff, sometimes we have, every year you have teams, Jeff, college basketball, NFL, Major League Baseball, soccer, whoever it is. Bet them or don't bet them. When you're on that team, they do nothing for you. The minute you step away from that team, they rake. Two guys, Jeff, on my radar right now who I think over the years have never performed for me that should have: Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant. Turn off the tube, turn off my bet. If my bet's already over, they tend to show up and rake. When I have money on the Cubs where I need runs, Rizzo and Bryant do absolutely nothing for me, Jeff. Do you have any players out there, any teams that you bet on? It's just like, the hell when I get on them, I mush the hell out of them, it seems like.
Yeah, I have two teams that are generally are those two. St. Louis, seems like whenever I'm involved with them in any way, they screw me. Like if I need them to score runs, they don't. If I need them to not score runs, they do. They're just never a good bet for me. The Phillies as well. I don't have a lot of luck with that group either. And it sucks because the Phillies are actually going up against Andrew Suarez. And if you remember, Donnie, I've been fading Andrew Suarez every time he's on the mound. I fade the guy. So I have a precarious situation there. But, I think in betting, that's an important thing to kind of avoid generally. I mean, if you have a good play that you like, you don't really want to – like I've heard people go, that team fucked me last week in college football. I'm not betting them. Like that's a thing you don't want to do because sometimes the easiest money's right under your nose. You got to be able to – you have to have a short memory. If Army last week hurt you, and you like them this week, you got to go right back to them, stick to the script. You look at like a team like Arizona, Donnie. If you thought through that process and said, I hate Arizona, I'm not betting on them. Well, I mean, they've won 4 or 5 now. They're starting to look a lot better. So you might lose out on good betting opportunities because you just don't like Arizona. So you gotta kind of keep that notion out of your betting philosophy.
No, you're right. And there's also some other betting philosophies, Jeff, which I'm glad we're on a Saturday. Pitchers usually come up on the rotation every 5th day. There's another situation that we have today. I haven't even taken a look to see if the line moved at all. Let's see that. Yeah, here we go. Jeff, I'm going to give you a trivia question today. A overnight line opened up around 125 or 130 with a pitcher who never seems to lose, never seems to get blown up, seems to always go 7, maybe 8 innings, at least 6 innings, 1 earned run, maybe 2 earned runs, gets 0 respect, and we're in the same boat again today, Jeff. Name that pitcher.
Gio Gonzalez.
Gio Gonzalez. Overnight line, 132, 140, now sitting at 113 across the board. Jeff, is there a program flaw in Cantor Gaming or CG Technologies or whoever comes up with the algorithm for baseball where Gio Gonzalez gets mixed up with some other Gonzalez's out there? Is that what's taking place?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure. I mean, I think they open the numbers generally at the right number, but they treat him like Tanner Roark, and I don't really understand why. I mean, sharp bettors don't like him for some reason, but I mean, Gio Gonzalez, I think, is their second best pitcher. He's been fantastic all season. Look, if they keep putting those guys out at those prices, I mean, it's not like Brandon McCarthy's been any good either. I mean, I don't know what this number is all about. I mean, I guess the only thing you could kind of look at is maybe, I mean, Washington has struggled a little bit lately offensively, but you look at even late, or like over the last 7 games, they're only hitting 232, but they're 5-2. Their pitching has been fantastic all season, so they've been bailed out sometimes when they have no runs scored. But maybe their bullpen as well. But Yeah, I don't really understand why you wouldn't take Gio Gonzalez. Seems like every price is always fair.
Yeah, we'll even go over it. Like, even like his advanced stats where it's like, well, he's just getting really lucky. Like, there's still decent advanced stats along with the stats that come from what your eyes see and what he has given to you already. We'll get into that in a little bit more, obviously, as throughout the show. But welcome into the show, folks. Thanks for chiming in. Almost 100 people already in here, less than 5 minutes into the show. We thank you for that. We'll spin it around the chat box. We'll have a lot of fun. Scott Weaver, welcome in. Aces, Anil, Adam, D, Brad. Big Man on Campus, welcome in. How about that, Jeff? Is that a burner account or is that you out there?
That's me.
There you go. Hey, look, Saturday, you have access to the chat box. Look, everybody can have a lot of fun. And I know sometimes it does get shut down and you can't read it, but we'll have a lot of fun today. As I said, welcome in. And we'll spin it right down the list. The good thing about it today, Jeff, again, no 1 o'clock games, no noon games out there. So we'll do like we do every single Saturday for you folks. We'll spin it in rotation. We'll get to every single game today. We're not under that time crunch. We're not going to go for 2 hours, but if we have to run over a little over our hour time slot, we'll certainly make it happen and have some fun out there.
Hey,
so
Donnie,
we can spin it. Yeah, what's up, man?
Before we get started here, I got to ask a question because you're a football guy. I know you don't watch this much, but like I've always wondered this. What is the purpose still of the Arena Football League? Like, I often wonder, like, what like, are you aware of how many teams there are now in it?
Yes, and I'm glad. It's funny, like, again, most people don't know, and I shouldn't know that answer, but I do know the answer. If you remember a couple years ago, and I want to say a couple years ago, Jeff, I'm talking maybe, let's go like 04, 05, 06. The Arena League comes back in, because it always ran through the 90s, but it came back and had a national spotlight, I believe, on NBC. You had owners that cared about the league and that were big money owners. Like Bon Jovi owned the Philadelphia Soul. They were a big marketing program. They tried to get it off into 15, 20 cities at that point and had their games on every week. The funny thing about that, Jeff, is you bring that up, which again, might bore some people, but is there like 4 teams in the league or 3 teams?
Yeah.
4 teams in the league. So when I hear it locally, like the Soul World Champions, your immediate thought would be like, damn, all right, there's probably like 30, 25 teams out there, 20-team league. That's pretty cool. How are you a world champion at 4-man leagues? How do you make any money? And the next case is what? Maybe a year later, they're done?
It's the Soul. It's Baltimore, Washington, Albany, Philadelphia. So it's like 3 teams in one area and then a New York team. Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, I used to like it. Like, it used to be fun to bet on. Like 2-3 years ago, there were a lot of teams. You could bet against, some of the poor teams. I've never seen a league with more like turnover than that league. It seems like every year there's new teams. It's quite amazing. But yeah, just kind of a thought I had. It didn't make any sense. Like, how long is the season? What do they play each other 7, 8 times?
That's what I mean. Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense. And what's the playoff structure? You're already in the NFC Conference Championship game once you make the playoffs.
I guess.
Come on.
Yeah, I guess.
No, it's a decent topic there. Let's get into some baseball, Jeff. We'll go right down the card. We'll hit it. We'll have some fun. Once again, folks out there in the chat box, anything that you would like to pop up, we can purvey and survey that box and bring it up, Jeff. 9:51, 9:52, 2:15 Eastern time. First pitch, Chad Kuhl versus Weaver on the mound today. 68% of the tickets, Jeff, early coming in based on those St. Louis Cardinals. If you take a look across the board, Pinnacle opens up at 34. Chris opens up at 40. Those numbers are staying about the same here, despite about 70% of the early tickets coming in on the Cardinals. 138, 145, 136 across the board. Over-under, Jeff, did open up at 9, now sitting at 8.5. Some advanced numbers. If we take a look at Chad Kuhl, road numbers, Jeff, if you can stack bats from the left-hand side on Chad Kuhl, you can hit him. But there comes the case in point with the Cardinals, Jeff. That's not what they do. It's a right-handed heavy lineup. Can they take advantage? Because Kuhl's right-handed numbers aren't that bad when you take a look, especially with his road starts. Weaver at home, Jeff, 4.66 FIP, 4.65 FIP from the left-hand side. And Pittsburgh does have some left-handed bats that can get to him. He's been decent versus right-handed bats. But again, comes back to, can you exploit the mismatch? I'm not sure if St. Louis can because they are right-handed heavy, Jeff.
Right. No, you broke it down perfectly, Don. I mean, you look at this game, there's not a lot to really like about it. I mean, two pitchers kind of in middle of the road, 2 lineups, middle of the road. I give the slight lean to Pittsburgh here. I'm getting plus money with them. They are, I think, the better, slightly better offensive team. But I hate to say it right out of the gate. This is a major pass. I have no real luck with St. Louis really ever. So I just don't see much. No, I mean, both teams hit like 250. Both teams have average pitchers. Both teams have the same bullpens. I guess slight lean to Pittsburgh just because I'm getting plus money, but nothing more than that.
Yeah, interesting looks, Jeff, on the horizon from the Cardinals standpoint. I was reading a couple articles yesterday that Yachty is close to coming back off of that painful nail injury that he did have. So he's ready to get back in there, because that was one of the caveats that you looked over the past couple of weeks saying, the best catcher in baseball, you take him out there. Some of those younger pitchers might struggle. Looks like he's going to get back into the fold and help them out. But you're right. Just looking at this single game here, it would be nice. Like the Indians we talk about a lot, Jeff. They can stack really good left-handed bats. You're not going to get that from Pittsburgh today, so I don't have a play either way on that one as well. Any thoughts on the total on that, Jeff? 8.5, because that's right in the middle of the road as well.
Yeah, I mean, both sides, whether it's side or total, just not a lot. And that Francisco Pena kid that filled in for Molina, he played pretty good early on, but his batting average is just plummeted, really. But Chris Carter, I heard your DeGrom to the Yankee trade proposals, big man. Makes me feel good to know you're a delusional Yankee fan. I'm not delusional. I mean, it makes sense for the Mets. I'm just coming up with ideas, Chris. I'm not saying that they're going to do it, but I don't understand what's delusional about it. Yankees need a pitcher. Mets obviously need a huge replenishment in their farm system. I'm not sure what would be the negativities or delusion in those trades. I mean, why wouldn't the Mets consider that? I mean, they can get Clint Frazier and Tyler Austin and Austin Romine. Why wouldn't they do that? I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah, you would have to throw Glaber in there as well. If you're I don't think they would.
Well, then they're not going to do it. I mean, Glaber's not.
But to be honest with you, if I'm the Yankees, I give up Glaber for DeGrom.
Dude.
I mean, DeGrom is pitching is way more important than a batter. I mean, way more important. If you get DeGrom and the Yankees, the top of that lineup with Severino and heading into the playoffs, you're pretty formidable, man. Frazier got plenty of bats. Yanks got plenty of bats.
Frazier, Austin, and Romine would do it, I think. But listen, they're not going to trade Gleyber Torres. So, I mean, if I'm the leader of the Yankees, maybe I would consider it. But I'm not trading Gleyber Torres.
If you put out there Gleyber Torres straight up for DeGrom, you wouldn't do that trade from a Yankees perspective?
No. I don't.
Come on. What? For DeGrom?
No. I mean, I don't think I would. I mean, because I can go out and get
we're talking trade proposals, though. Yeah, I mean, you can always go out and get people, but I'm just talking
Donnie,
straight up. Yankees got plenty of bats.
Gleyber Torres is a bit of he's a star, man. He could be the best of the best.
Yeah, but also he is young. The Yankees don't have pitchers. The Yankees have plenty of bats, and we've seen many one-year wonders in Major League Baseball. But
he's also a second baseman, something that they lack at that with this team. Listen, I mean, I'm sure there are people that would do it, but I'm not sure I would. I mean, because I think you can pair other people. I think he's off limits totally. He's like Joel Embiid to me. He's off limits.
Yeah, I mean, it would never happen because the Yankees and Mets would never engage in something like that.
Right? He's hitting 325. I mean, he seems to do every time he's up, something good happens.
No, he's really good. He's really good. But again, I mean, I saw Don Brown rake it 1 June and make an all-star game when he first came up as well. So, I mean, time will tell. I mean, he looks like he's going to be a really good baseball player, but he is still young. So we'll see.
Sure.
Next up, 9:53, 9:54, Washington and Atlanta, Jeff. We already tipped off this game a little bit here, and sometimes you just have to scratch your head. Now, the Nationals lineup today, what they're looking at, doesn't look like it's going to be all that great. McCarthy, not the best pitcher. He has pedestrian numbers. He's not awful, to say the least. But you're going up against Gio Gonzalez, Jeff. What is Gio Gonzalez's MO that we already talked about? 6 innings, 7 innings, 1 earned, 2 earned, maybe 3 earned runs. You're going to stay in it every time. You can almost put a target on him, Jeff. He opens up at 130 every single time, and that number always dips below. Taking a look at some advanced numbers, Jeff, on the road. If you're a lefty, good luck. 1.63 FIP, 3.45 xFIP. You're not getting much off of him on the road. Take a look from the right-hand side. You might be able to get him a little bit, but his FIP, Jeff, is 2.72, which is off the charts good, and a 3.97, which is somewhere a little bit mediocre there, but he pitches way ahead of the game, it seems like, and always keeps you in. I don't understand this number. Am I going to bet this game and reach out? Like, I love, to take the Washington Nationals with that lineup on the road. No, I don't. But if I'm getting DeGrom versus McCarthy at 110, yes, we do like to read the lines, me and Jeff do, and say, you know what, that doesn't make sense. But I think the outlier is Gio Gonzalez. Every time he pitches, his line crashes 20 to 30 cents, and then he wins.
Yeah, and Don, I mean, the line moves every time he pitches, so it's like I don't really put any stock into that. So, it's kind of like whatever. And the line moved, cool. I expected that. By the way, Anthony Sarro, he didn't compare Don Brown to Gleyber Torres. The truth of the matter was Don Brown, when he came up, had a great season. Everybody
No,
thought
he had a great 2 months, but it is a little bit comparable. Dude, don't forget, like Don Brown was the #1 overall prospect in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, everyone thought he was the next, great player in the MLB. It's very comparable, actually. But Don Brown's now in the Mexican League somewhere. I mean, he just didn't work out. I mean, he's not wrong here. Don Brown was the big time
#1 prospect. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as this game, look, I'd go with Gio. I mean, how many times do I have to say I'd go with Gio in these spots? I mean, he's a really good pitcher. I don't understand the continued no respect to the guy. He's a gamer. He just pitches well. He's good on the road, good at home, really good everywhere. The only, I guess, thing you could be a little concerned about, his whip is a bit high, but I'm just really grasping for straws here. He's off scoreless 7 2/3 against Baltimore. This is a better lineup, obviously, but I don't trust McCarthy at all. At this number, I'm all over Washington.
No, I agree with you there. And again, it's, Jeff, 69, 70% of the money on Gio, which is his complete MO every time he takes the mound. 130, 140 opens up it, crashes down to 110. We all laugh, sharps fade him, and then the game ends up 3-1 that he wins the game. So we'll see if it holds true today, Jeff. You don't have to wait long for that one because that is a 4 o'clock afternoon start. If you like that one, we'll keep going down. Go ahead. Yep.
I would consider maybe just first 5 though here. I mean, I'm not in love with that Washington bullpen. I mean, I kind of want to neutralize, Gio Gonzalez, and just kind of rock with the money line here, probably.
No, yeah. I mean, sharps, fades, public plays, sometimes you have to dig deep a little bit more because sharp public, they can all line up on the same side, but it's the Cleveland Browns effect for Gio Gonzalez time and time again. And I'll call right now, Jeff. What's the over under 9 in this game? Let's go 4-2. Washington wins that game is what I would peg that at, just looking into a crystal ball.
And another thing, I mean, keep in mind, I mean, now that Acuna's out of that lineup, you started to see a little bit of, head scratching if you're the Braves. I mean, as far as the Braves, Yellow Jesus is mentioning some of the Braves have good numbers against Gio. I mean, a couple of them. Camargo, Freeman's got pretty decent numbers. Ender Inciarte, Kurt Suzuki. I mean, you make a good point there. But I don't know. I mean, Gio's just kind of on another level right now. 2 earned runs or fewer in 10 of 11 starts. Got the second best ERA among all NL pitchers. I think you have a decent point there. And that's a concern, but he's on another level right now. I'm kind of like,
Jeff, it's funny. You look like Yellow Jesus, he likes the over, which it's Atlanta. Can they get over? Sure they can. Bandbox Ballpark, usually hot and humid. Ball travels well there. But I'm going to preface you by saying this. The advanced lineup for the Nationals right now, I'm going to go through, we all know you're going to get, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper in there, Rendon, blah, blah, blah. You're going to get Matt Adams, Juan Soto, Brian Goodwin, Wilmer Defoe, and my favorite batter of all, Spencer Keyboom in there. So don't expect a single base hit from the bottom of that lineup today. If you're looking for the over, it better come all the way up top with Bryce Harper because you have automatic outs at the bottom of that lineup for the Nationals. So just a little buyer beware on that one.
And again, I mean, look, if I'm betting a spot like this and I'm going to say I'm going to go against Gio Gonzalez, who's one of the best pitchers in the NL, I need to be getting some money back. I mean, this is even money you're betting the Braves here with Brandon McCarthy on the mound. Again, that's a good point by you, Donnie, with the bottom of that lineup. But look, this is kind of one where I'd kind of just go against the trends. I like Gio.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to that one. Next up, Jeff, 9:55, 9:56. We're going to take a look at the Chicago Cubs and the New York Mets. Talking a little DeGrom talk here, Jeff. Let's see, 65% of the tickets opening with Jacob DeGrom on the mound. Line opened up at 117, 120. Now saying you're going to get DeGrom cheap, Jeff, at about a 115. Now, keep preface this in mind. It looks like since my numbers came in, Montgomery is now going to be the starter for the Chicago Cubs. I had it lined with Yu Darvish. So I'm going to take that completely out of the cap and reevaluate it once I get off the air here. But just taking a look, Jeff, from DeGrom sides, what more do you want? Lefties? Can't touch them. Right-handers, might as well just take a knee in the batter's box at this point. His home numbers, even more incredible. You might as well just send out, just a big bat. You grow up, Jeff, you had the big red bat when you played wiffle ball instead of the yellow bat. You better go up with a bat that size if you even want to touch DeGrom. Insane numbers And here he is lined up here, Jeff. You're getting about a -110. Maybe looking at a first 5 in this game if you're trying to match up a few things. But I capped it for Darvish, so I don't have anything on this game overall except for DeGrom.
Yeah, I mean, I lean under here. I mean, DeGrom's, like you said, giving up nothing. The problem you have with the under is you look at DeGrom, I mean, he's only 2-0 over his last 7 starts because of that bullpen. The bullpen for the Mets are inept, and they're totally inept. They can't hold a lead. And
they're worn out, too.
Right. I mean, why is this line only 110? I mean, with the way DeGrom's pitched, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I guess if you're looking, I didn't look at any advanced numbers yet, but Montgomery's a lefty. The thing that the Mets do a lot is they can stack some left-handed bats up there and get after you if you're susceptible to left-handed bats. Now you're going to have a lefty thrown in because if you take a look, Jeff, at Darvish, his advanced numbers, even regular, his FIP number is 7.45 to lefties on the road, 6.15 xFIP. They should have been able to get after him, but now you're going to throw a lefty out there. And we see the Mets, Jeff, situational hitting, not exactly their forte at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Montgomery's mostly a bullpen guy. I mean, he's a long reliever, that kind of guy. I would give the Mets some trust here just because it's DeGrom, but maybe a first 5 under. That might be worth a look. I mean, Montgomery has come off and pitched. He pitched well on Monday, 5 2/3. He's actually, in his 20 innings he's pitched on the road this year, opponents only hitting 191 against him. He's actually been quite good on the road in those games. Donnie, at home, you look at his home road splits. Now, keep in mind, he's a bullpen guy most of the time, but he's doing long relief. In those away games, 191. At home, a 10.45 ERA with a 3.33 average opponent. So, I mean, away, he's been much better. Lefty's hitting 257, righty's 247. So, not horrible. I think the first 5 under. If you can get 4, it's probably worth the look. DeGrom, I have a feeling he's going to put up a few zeros.
I like where you're going there because I'm just taking a look at some of the advanced, batting orders of what it looks like the Mets are going to have. Nimmo's been outstanding. Cabrera's been great out of the 2-hole. But then you get in this instance where, I like to call them the dollar store Mets at this point. You have Joey Bats is just a anchor in that 3rd hole. That's just going to give you absolutely nothing. Then you have Conforto, who's struggling, Plawecki, Rosario, Lobaton, and Guillorme. Where is the offense coming from the Mets today? I like where you're going, Jeff. You give me like a 4 or a 3.5 light juice in the first 5 innings, I can easily see 2-0, 2-1 type after 5 innings here.
Sure. No, this kind of yeah. I mean, I'm trying to come up with situations on where we'll see runs in this game. But yeah, if I can get 4, like you said, even a juice 3.5, 4 is a little bit better. You push on the 4.
Yep. Yeah, 5 to beat you. Yep.
Yeah, I would have to do that. Let me see something here. Let me go to 5 downs to see our inner tops. Let me see one of these books, see what the number is. It's going to be 4. 4 minus 125.
That's not bad.
3.5 plus 105.
Yeah, now I would, spend a little bit. I mean, 5. It takes 5 to beat you in that game. If somebody hits a 3-run bomb off the ground, you just as we said, Jeff, tip of the cap, and I'll end up dealing with that. But looking at that Mets lineup, I'm not anticipating, multitude of runners and clogging the bases up and getting hits, especially against a left-handed batter. So we'll see how it plays out, but I think the under is decent on that as well. So we'll see what takes place here. Yeah,
Donnie Cold Brews. That's your name, Donnie Cold.
Yeah, if you notice, there's Coors Lights in the fridge in there, Jeff.
What do you got? It's like a little Italian beer. Is that what I see there?
No, it's Coors Light. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a beer drinker, but when people come over, like we'll have a cookout, they leave the beers. Most people don't bring like a case of beer and take half of it home with them, even though I'm not a beer drinker. So the beer in the fridge, Jeff, is more of a, almost like a prop. Because if you've noticed over the past, month that we've done shows, the same amount of beer is in there every single time. But the monsters always fluctuate because that's the thing that gets drank.
Leave the beer. Take the cannolis.
Exactly, of course. Next up, Jeff, let's keep it going here. Let's go Dodgers and the Colorado Rockies. And I do tend to joke about this as well. Last week, you're looking at a couple Colorado overs. Just couldn't get over there. 8-1, 8-2. You need 11.5 or 12. get off of the Colorado Rockies. They score 20 a night now, and it looks like they're getting healthy at the right time. Didn't win last night, but again, fireworks in Coors. Let's see if it gets back to that. Walker Buehler is going to take them out for the Dodgers, Jeff, versus German Marquez, 957, 958. 53% of the tickets are lining up early on the Colorado Rockies. Over on that one, Jeff, opened up at 10.5. Some 11s are showing through, but mostly over 10.5, double juice, maybe juice and a half at that point. Sides 130, 140. Look at that. Walker Buehler on the road, going to get his first start in Colorado, opens at a minus 140. Do we continue to see fireworks at Coors, Jeff? Because ain't nobody pitching there, it seems like, lately.
Yeah, listen, I think with Walker Buehler on the mound, I would just go under the number. I mean, 11. 11's high for Walker Buehler. And you look at German Marquez, 7 of his 10 starts have gone under the number. So, I mean, I'm skeptical to take him under at home, though, because he has struggled there. But you look at his last outing. It's against Cincinnati. Went 7 innings, only gave up 1 run. If he could just give you a good 5 innings, I think this game will stay under. I trust Buehler enough at this point to hold it down. He's been real good, really everywhere he pitches. Obviously, this is a different kind of situation, first start in Coors, but the kid's been good. The only knock you have there is they take him out early, but you look at his last 2 starts, went 7 innings in both these games. He's a bet on pitcher for me. He just shut Colorado down last week. I'd be all over under 11 in this game with Buehler.
Yeah, if you're taking a look from like a side perspective also, German Marquez, and that's hard. Home and away splits are really important in Colorado because, you can go pitch at Dodger Stadium, at San Diego, in the humidor at Arizona. But when you pitch at home in Colorado, your numbers are going to be skewed. But having said that, though, Jeff, German Marquez, 5.60 FIP, 6.16 xFIP at home to left-handed batters. Advanced lineups taking a look there for the Dodgers, Jeff. Lefty and Peterson, lefty and Munson. Lefty with Yasmani Grandal, Cody Bellinger lefty. You can stack some lefties up there to try to get after him there. Not a ton, but if you're going to give me at least 4 of them that are decent bats, something worthwhile to look at there.
Yeah, no, you're right. I just kind of have a feeling Marquez will pitch well today. Dodgers always seem to be inconsistent when you think they'll be inconsistent. So I'm leaning under here.
All right, Jeff, next game up here on the rotation takes place in a pitcher's ballpark, but I'm not too sure we have 2 actual really good pitchers that are going to take the mound today. Game I'm talking about, 959, 960 Cincinnati and the San Diego Padres. Harvey versus Lauer. 58% of the early tickets, Jeff, siding with the Dark Knight here on the road with the Reds. Line opened up at about a pick'em, staying at a pick'em right now, so it's not much line movement. Over under, it is a pitcher's ballpark, opens up at 8.5. Looks like it's going to be 8.5 across the board. Taking a look at some things with Harvey, if you take a look at his overall splits, home and away, left-handed batters, Jeff, get into him. FIP of over 7, xFIP of 5.30. And then if you take it on the road, which again, you have to take that a little bit with a grain of salt since he did switch teams. So technically, a lot more of these games are road games since, theoretically pitching at the Reds is a road game for Matt Harvey. Not used to those surroundings there, but a 7.34 even on his away. If you can stack some left-handed bats, which the Padres can, you might be able to do some damage. And Lauer on the other side, Jeff, look at him even at home in a pitcher's ballpark. Looks like we have, 8.16, 4.84 FIP, xFIP splits. We should get some runs tonight, no?
Yeah, Eric Lauer stinks. He's a guy I'd be betting against. I mean, he can't get anyone out, it seems like. And look, Matt Harvey, I mean, I liked what I've seen out of Matt Harvey, but he has struggled, on the road. I mean, you would think that Padres can hit him a little bit. You mentioned the left-handers that they have that they could throw out there. Yeah, I mean, at 8.5, I'd look over as well. I mean, 2 bullpens that aren't terrible, but, I mean, you're not in love with them either. This is majorly a fade against Lauer. I mean, you look at his numbers. I mean, all season he's just had no real success. Left-handers hitting 346 against him. Right-handers 363. I mean, overall, opponents hitting 359 against Eric Lauer. Over.
Yeah, say what you want, but a lot of these Reds games that you line up, it's just a matter if the Reds come to hit because they do put out a decent hitting lineup night after night, and maybe in a lineup you can finally take advantage of with Eric Lauer on the mound. But looking from a left-hander's perspective, you got Jankowski, Hosmer, Rafi Lopez, and Freddie Gallo. So at least 4 left-handed bats are probably going to be in the lineup to take care of Harvey. And no longer is Harvey, Jeff, that long man out there. Now, they do get a little bit of bullpen help out. Iglesias is back as the closer for the Reds, so that might help out. But sometimes, Jeff, just comes down too late. If you watch the game last night, 7-0. Bottom of the 9th inning, 2 outs, a deep ball to center field. Billy Hamilton can't make the catch. 2 runs scored to push that over the total. Because, again, when you're looking at some of these bullpens, that's where you can leak some runs off them. Now, on paper, I do like the Padres bullpen, but I think the Reds bullpen is getting a little bit healthier and a little bit better as what they were about a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, but I still don't really trust them too much. Cincinnati's been raking the ball lately, and they haven't been able to keep anyone off base. Right now, the Padres or Reds aren't, they're just not doing anything really well other than hit the ball. They're hitting the ball, and they're not getting anyone out. So that's a pretty good over concoction there.
Yeah, no, again, it's definitely a pitcher's ballpark, but I'm going to look towards the over in that one. We'll break it down. We'll see those final lineups come out, Jeff. Late night game, 961, 962. Where sometimes do the Phillies bats go? Velasquez on the mound versus Suarez tonight, 65%, Jeff, lining up with those Philadelphia Phillies. Line opened up now look, the Phillies opened up as a favorite with Velasquez, -119, -125, looking at the Pinnacle Chris splits, but have completely flipped over to Suarez, Jeff, now taking the money at -125 at Intertops. If we take a look at the over-under, pitcher's ballpark, no surprise. The over-under across the board, Jeff, sitting at 8. Some advanced numbers to take a look at. Velasquez hasn't been bad against lefties on the road. Touched up a little bit against righties, but a 2.80 FIP shows that he's doing the job. XFIP numbers are a little bit higher. Suarez, you're right, Jeff. If you can load up from the right-hand side, you might be able to take advantage of him, but his numbers aren't that bad. And the question always comes to, the head of the class, can the Phillies take advantage of a kid that can be hit?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of where I'm kind of annoyed, because I like betting against Suarez because you can't get right-handers out, but the Phillies, I'm just not really interested in. I'm not a big Vinny Velasquez guy. Talked about that before. And Suarez at home has got better numbers than obviously on the road, but I might just stick with maybe a team total with the Phillies. I feel like if I can get 3.5, I would. I mean, am I going to get 3.5? I got to look, but if I get 3.5, I might consider it. I think they have enough right-handed bats to maybe do some damage here. I mean, Santana, Kingery, Hernandez, Crawford, Franco, Herrera, they're all right-handers. So I think they can have some success tonight, but I also don't in turn trust Vince Velasquez. So if I can get a team total at 3.5, I'm going to be interested in the Phillies team total over.
Yeah. Hey, look, I can't blame you. I know it's one of the pitchers that you've keyed up and eyed up all season long.
Yeah, it's 3.5.
Yep. So we'll see what they can take place. And again, it's always a thing also when you're trying to take a look at value. You get the 3.5 for the Phillies, Jeff. What's the thing we can guarantee for the Phillies tonight? You're going to get 9 full at bats. You're not going to lose an at bat in the 9th inning if your team is ahead. So it's always nice. Team totals, I do enjoy more on the road because no matter what happens, Jeff, they're going to get their full complement of outs. So we'll see how that plays out. Keep it moving, Jeff. 10-10, another left coast game. 963, 964. Miami and Arizona. Caleb Smith on the mound, the lefty versus Zach Greinke. Looking across, 85% of the tickets early, Jeff, coming in on Zach Greinke here. Line opened up at 150, 155. Has come up a little bit. It's about 160 at most areas out there. If we take a look at some different books, sportsbook.ag is actually at 170. Chris is at 160. Over under opens up at 7.5. You're now seeing some 7s at sharp books, double juice. And I tend to agree with them there, Jeff. If we're taking a look at Smith and Greinke, if you don't know Caleb Smith, he's putting in some work and doing some damage out there from a pitching perspective. Now, look, he does pitch in one of the most pitching-friendly ballparks when he's at home. But if you take a look at his road splits, Jeff, 265, 244 split for left-handed batters with his FIP, XFIP. He does get touched up a little bit from the right-hand side, but again, we're waiting for those Arizona bats to wake up. Now they're getting some guys hitting again, getting a little bit more healthy in the lineup. We'll see what their lineup takes a look at tonight. But Greinke has been sensational at home in the big humidor. Where are the runs going to come from today is my only question from the Miami perspective on their side. And I think Caleb Smith, Jeff, might do enough to hold down those Arizona bats where maybe you don't see 8 runs in this game. I'm actually leaning under this one in the big humidor.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. I don't have much opinion on it. Both pitchers are pitching well, but Arizona is starting to hit a little bit, scoring 5.5 runs a game over their last 7. So this could be a game where Caleb Smith kind of gets touched up a little bit. Maybe I have a weird feeling they're gonna crush him here. But I mean, I need to look at his advanced numbers. You look at Caleb Smith, 3.51 ERA, a 3.21 FIP. So, I mean, he's actually got better numbers than surprisingly his numbers indicate. He might be one of their better pitchers, Miami. You got to think they're going to struggle to hit off of Zach Greinke. Yeah, I mean, this is a decent test for him, a team that's playing pretty well, scoring runs. But I think the thing we've learned about Arizona is, I mean, for large parts of the year, they've struggled to score. They've struggled to hit. You look down to even scoring runs, they're still only hitting 241. So, I don't hate the under here. I would have loved to have gotten 7.5, but you got one good bullpen. The big knock would be if Caleb Smith gets knocked out early, but again, he would, the game would go over anyway, so it wouldn't really matter. I lean under here.
Next up, Jeff, 965, 966, an afternoon ball game, fresh off of Oakland. Hey, look, Oakland struggled a lot at home, but sometimes you're going to struggle, Jeff, when you take your best power hitter out of the lineup and also your shortstop, who's been playing really well, especially offensively, Marcus Semien, and also Crash Davis. They're both in the lineup. Everybody raked in that lineup yesterday. 16 runs on the board. Can it continue today? It's probably, I didn't look at the temperatures out there, but typically afternoon game this time of year in Kansas City, that ball should be able to carry fairly well. Take a look at some of the pitching matchups in this one today. Cahill versus Hamill, 64% lining up early, Jeff, with the Oakland Athletics. Opened up, look at that. Nice road favorite for Cahill, Jeff. 140, 145. Chris actually showing a minus 153 in the favor of Cahill in this one. Over under seemingly looking at, it opens up at 9 and sitting at 9 across the board. Look at Cahill's numbers overall. Even if you take both those home and away and don't split them up, Jeff, left-handed side 1.91 FIP, right-handed side 3.91, but his xFIP from the right-hand side, Jeff, 2.81. It's been pitching really well. And what are you actually getting from Hamill's side? If you can line up some lefties on him, you can touch him up a little bit. 4.53 at-home xFIP. So one would lead to believe, looking at Oakland going on the road, struggling at home, not winning too many games. You're looking, that offensive prowess, shaking it out, now going on the road and laying a 150 out there with Cahill on the mound. Stone cold Oakland line. Looks like they're going to pull away in this one, Jeff.
Not so fast. I'm taking the Royals. I like what Hamill's been doing lately. I generally, Donnie, like to go against teams that put up weird numbers. 16 runs is a weird number. And it's interesting. I'd love to go back and look like teams that win by 15 or more runs and put up like 15 or more runs. What the next game it looks like. How they played in the next game, because it's generally they don't play well. They don't score any runs, and it's like they blew their load the night before. I mean, you look at even after last night, Donnie. Over the last 7 games, Oakland's only hitting 202, which is surprising. I mean, they must have been hitting in the 180s before last night. I like the way Hamill's pitched lately. He's looked very good over his last 2 starts. I'll take a shot here with him.
How about that? All right. Yeah, we'll see how it goes there. It'll be afternoon tilt. 9 runs. We'll see. Let's get a little bit of weather forecasting here, Jeff. 82 degrees, 84 by the time the game ends, about 87 degrees. Wind looks like it's blowing from left to right, double digits. So looks like we might have some hitting temperatures in that area. See if they can fire up. But Cahill has been pretty good here, and I know you said you're leaning on Hamill this one, so you probably would be thinking opposite of me, Jeff, looking at under 9 in that one. Any thoughts on the total there?
Well, listen. I have a feeling today Oakland's not going to hit. KC. I mean, I don't know if they'll hit. I mean, Cahill's been pretty damn good as well lately. Cahill's off scoreless game against Tampa Bay. I lean Kansas City 4-2.
All right, we'll go 4-2, lower scoring battle here. We'll keep it going down the list, making some good time today, having some fun. Thanks for tuning in to the chat box. Over 230 people in here chiming in. The chat box has been great. A lot of stuff going on. I know there is that big hockey game going on tonight. You also have the intriguing game 2 of the NBA Finals tomorrow. So looks fun, Jeff. Here in the Northeast, we're expecting a deluge of rain today. So we'll be certainly glued to the TV. 967, 968. Jeff, your New York Yankees, fresh off a win yesterday, a low-scoring game. Sonny Gray pitching well. But again, is it really pitching well when you're battling against the Baltimore Orioles offense and all those mighty, mighty strikeout bats they could bring to the plate? Tanaka's going to get a chance at it today, Jeff, versus Gausman. 78% of the tickets, Jeff, from the public coming in on your New York Yankees. Opened up as a road favorite, 177, 190. Backtrack a little bit, Jeff. Chris, 172. Inter tops 168. Bet online, 168 over-under, 9 to 9.5 across the board. Taking a look at some numbers out there. Tanaka can be hit from the left-handed side, Jeff. But again, can you exploit that with the likes of Chris Davis, El Toro Alvarez out there? Those guys aren't exactly world beaters when you say, let's take advantage of a mismatch. If we take a look at Gausman there, he can be touched up from the left-hand side, and the Yankees can touch him from the left-hand side. Right now, I don't really know how many value plays there are on Baltimore, Jeff. I know you had one a couple days ago where the line looked good and still didn't come up, with the right move. If you just pitch around Machado versus the Baltimore Orioles, what can they do to you?
Nothing, really. That's the thing. And, it's weird because Tanaka hasn't faced the Orioles a whole lot. I mean, you look at you look at last year. I mean, he faced them a couple times. He's only faced them 9 times in his career, which seems low for how long he's been with the Yankees. He's been with the Yankees for a good amount of time, and they play him so much. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. I mean, other than Manny Machado, what can this team really do up and down the lineup? Kevin Gausman cannot get right-handed batters out either. Right-handed batters hitting 301 against him. I'd probably lay the run line. I have a feeling today Tanaka pitches well. He's off of that good start against the LA Angels. 6 innings, they only give up 1 run. I need to see consistency out of him. But you look at his starts. I mean, 8 of his 10 starts have been won by the Yankees. Most of the time when he pitches, they win by 2 or more runs. That's what the Yankees do. They score runs. I have a feeling they beat Baltimore up here. I would lay the run line here. Let's lay the 110, lay the run line.
Yeah, see what happens. 969, 970, Jeff. This is an intriguing game, and I agree with all the line movement in this one. It's going to be Bauer and Lynn, Toronto versus – let me see what we got here. I'm just sliding it down here. I'm sorry. I got these games mixed up back here. There we go. Bauer versus Lance. What's that?
Get it together, Don.
Oh, you know what? It's funny. I use a couple different line services, Jeff. And the reason why it's just tripping me up, I have Bauer versus Lance Lynn pitching for Detroit today. How about that? Yeah, and I have Jay Happ going against Matt Boyd. That's what just tripped me up in that spot. So I have the advanced numbers. Let's take a look at here. Forget about the actual numbers that are coming in this one. Bauer and Lynn, Jeff, mismatch to say the least in this one. Bauer the better pitcher than Lynn? Absolutely. The Indians right now, I like what they have going on because they can line up left-handed bats. If you're looking at Lance Lynn, Jeff, his home splits versus left-handed batters, 6.73 FIP, 5.50 xFIP. He can be lit up. The Indians can touch him from the left-hand side. A couple people asked me, hey, do you have any plays out earlier, what you're looking at? I'm squared in right now and getting 9 at-bats from the Cleveland Indians from the left, at least 7 batters, Jeff, from the left-hand side. I'm going to be keyed in looking at the Indians today, team total, going over that number, both first 5 and full game. I think they can score some runs today and have some fun from the left-handed side, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I really like them just betting them straight up. I mean, laying the 145, even maybe laying the run line here. I mean, you're going to get another 9 at-bats. That's the good thing about the Yankees and Indians today. You're going to get 9 at-bats. Yep. You're not going to get shut out in the 9th inning up 3-2 or something. Yeah, Lance Lynn blows. This Cleveland team is crushing the ball right now. They're hitting 312 over the last 7 games. And Lynn is a guy that's not really been able to get it together all season. You look at Bauer, you look at the Twins against him. Brian Dozier, 194. Escobar, 176. Who else do we have here? Miguel Sano, 0.83. Rosario hits him pretty well, but other than that, Bauer's been very good against the Twins. At 145, 140-ish, I still think it's a pretty good price with the Indians. I would lay it. I think they beat the Twins. They're playing at a great level right now. Here's the problem, though, Donnie. Will the bullpen rear its ugly head? The Cleveland bullpen's bad, man. My goal maybe in this game would be that first 5 minus a half. Get that bullpen out of it. Or maybe a team total over, like you said, 2.5 minus 105 in the first 5.
Yeah, I mean, look at their last. I mean, if you say they had an off night last night, Jeff, they still got you 4 runs. Before that, 9, 9, 7, 9, 10, 8. I mean, they've been really raking. And the thing I like to use advantage of, Jeff, they're one of the few teams there. We can all just run left-handed bats out there. You could just bring up AAA guys who are left-handed, but you have to take advantage of mismatches. If a pitcher is terrible versus lefties and you can run 7 legitimate lefties at him, I'm going to look at that team total all day and get that full 9 runs. Let's take a look at some maybe some temperatures out there today, Jeff. and see if we get some good hitting. Let's see what we got here. All right, we got some weather out there. That's about 70 degrees. By the time the game ends, it's going to be 70. Light winds out there, so some decent hitting weather out there. I don't see any reason why the Cleveland team total can't come in there, Jeff.
I agree.
All right, we'll keep it going here. And again, no, it is not going to match up J-Hap versus Cleveland and Matt Boyd and all this stuff. So I'll get it together here. I do have my notes written down, so forget about these nonsense things that I'm reading out here. Hap and Boyd, Jeff, here's what you like. I know this is what you like. Another lefty on the mound for Toronto that's going to go up against those Detroit Tigers. They'll be able to stack the bats. They do hit it well. The one thing with J-Hap is he is lights out lefty on lefty. But you're going to stack right-handed bats. You can take that completely out of the equation. He is, however, decent against right-handed bats, and we'll see how that stacks up. If we take a look at Boyd out there, lefty going against a bunch of right-handed bats, he's a little bit susceptible, Jeff, to right-handed bats. But can Toronto take advantage of it?
I'm on the Tigers here. This is my play of the day. I'm riding. This thing has gotten out of hand with the Tigers against lefties. Until further notice, I'm betting against whoever pitches against the Detroit Tigers. I mean, the lefties just getting crushed. And Matt Boyd has been very good. I've tried to think that regression will hit this guy. It hasn't. And I surely don't think Toronto is going to do it. You're getting a plus 130 dog with the Tigers against the lefty. Sign me the fuck up.
Yeah, no rest for the weary here, Jeff. When you're looking at those numbers, we talked about it last week. You don't look at that. Now you got Miggy back in the lineup. V Mart's probably going to be in there, so you get a little bit more names. But the Candelarios of the world that you don't know about, that lineup 1 through 9 hits very well versus left-handed pitchers, and some guys that you've never really heard of. They are raking against those. So even though there's not the quote-unquote names in that lineup for Detroit, Jeff, they're coming through. And how can you doubt a team, Jeff, that the goose flies around the field, drills into the second deck, they fix them up, set them free, and Detroit's raking and winning games. It all goes hand in hand.
And by the way, for anyone that missed this, Miguel Cabrera made his season debut last night, or since April basically. So you got another, you got a bat in the lineup. You went 1 for 3 last night, so that's a nice little sign as well. It never hurts when you have Miggy in the lineup. I mean, this team is just that good against lefties. I mean, you look at their numbers, 296 as a team against lefties, 5.3 runs a game. And you know what, Donnie? Their bullpen's starting to look up a little bit. I like Matt Boyd. Like what I've seen out of this guy. All year he's been very good.
Interesting matchup tonight here, Jeff. Also, two heavyweights going at it, 973, 974. If you took a look at last night, you're saying both these lineups can really rake out there, but two dominant pitchers on the mound. That game flies way over the total. You have another decent setup tonight, Jeff. Verlander at home versus David Price. 67% of the early tickets lining up on the Houston Astros. Opens at 161, 165. Now sitting closer to 180 as a favorite for the hometown Houston Astros in this one. If we take a look at some advanced numbers, Jeff, on the road, Price hasn't been too bad. 4.42, though. His xFIP versus left-handed bats, 3.64, which is very good against right-handed bats. But Verlander's out there, Jeff. If you are, I always like these, if you're a left-handed batter versus Jason Verlander, get into the box, take a knee, and then just walk back to the dugout because you're not going to get a base hit. And even holding righties down at home, Jeff, to an xFIP of 3.20. Now, last night you didn't think there's going to be a lot of runs. Tonight looks like sort of that same MO. But to be honest with you, when you get a big number against the Red Sox, sometimes you say, oh, David Price on the mound, I just want to take it. I'm not in the business right now, Jeff, of betting against Jason Verlander. I'm just not.
Justin Verlander. I'm going under the number, 7.5. Like you said with Justin Verlander, I mean, he's unhittable, really. Second best pitcher in the league, Donnie, you would say, after Scherzer.
Lights out, man. Yeah.
The renaissance that this guy has been on is quite amazing, really. I mean, Justin Verlander 2 or 3 years ago was a bad pitcher. I mean, he had an ERA into the 4s, close to 5. You kind of thought, all right, well, guess Justin Verlander will ride off to the sunset. Got a nice beautiful girlfriend. Back in 2014, Donnie, opponents at 275 against Justin Verlander, had an ERA of 4.54. But he's slowly gotten back on the horse and been very good. You got to respect a guy like that. I mean, Justin Verlander is 35 years old and he's pitching like he's 24 years old. That's what happens when you date Kate Upton, Donnie. You just everything seems to go well for you. Justin Verlander, a guy I'd like to be like at 35. I probably won't be, but good for him. Yeah, I'm looking under the number here. You look at no Mookie Betts. That's obviously a big bat out of that lineup. Takes a big bite out of it. David Price has gotten it together since Fortnite was removed from his life, it seems like. And both bullpens are good here. I'm looking under 7.5. This looks like a 3-2, 4-2 type of game.
Yeah, no, it does. It's interesting you see that, because when you see those two pitchers lined up like that, you immediately start thinking under. But then, of course, you start to get into it. American League ballpark down there, bandbox a little bit. Two really good professional hitting lineups where, last night all it takes is one swing of the bat and you get a 3-run home run and luck out. But the trends do point more towards under, because Verlander should be able to keep that Boston Red Sox, team under wraps. And if David Price gives you his normal David Price, Jeff, 6 innings, 6 1/3, 2 earned runs, something like that, game should stay under the total. I won't be anywhere near that game. I'll just, see Verlander and Price out there and just see if they can go head to head. But I can certainly see your point of view on that one.
Yeah, it should be a good game. I mean, it should be a good pitcher's duel, if you like that sort of thing. Marvel in what Justin Verlander's doing. It's quite amazing how he's really kind of renaissanced his career.
Jeff, some people are haters on Verlander like they're haters on LeBron out there. They just don't want to see greatness.
No. I mean, listen, unfortunately, that's the climate that we live in, unfortunately. There's, again, if you hate on LeBron, you're really just showing your sheer jealousy, your stupidity. But I got to tell you, certain people that hate on LeBron in our little culture we have here at SBR, the ones that hate on LeBron, they're a bunch of losers in general, so it doesn't surprise me. The goal is to hate on somebody and look like the biggest dick in the world. If you hate on LeBron, you're a fucking idiot, and you shouldn't watch sports. You have no business talking about it. No one takes you seriously at all. Take your ball, go home, and shut up.
No, you're right about that. We'll talk a little bit at the end of the show, some thoughts on the NBA Finals tomorrow night and a little bit of hockey talk tonight and get back to it, Jeff. But 975, 976, I like to joke around. And a lot of times, Jeff, you can't see the sarcasm button on Twitter all the time, but I still get the cold shakes when I see up there, Jeff, let's just say I have the over-under is 4 in a Texas Rangers game in the first 5 innings. It's 2-1 in the bottom of the 5th. I have a runner on 3rd. I just need to get him home so at least I can get a push out of my wager, Jeff. There's 1 out, and I just get the chills because Joey Gallo comes up, and then Ronan Odor comes up. When will it ever end? Looks like those bats have gone silent again. Garrett Rich is going to take on the Texas Rangers tonight. Cole Hamels will take the mound. 50-50 ticket split, Jeff, but heavy action for the Angels. Blanked the Rangers last night. They opened up at 150, 160, now sitting at closer to 170 this time, Jeff. Over-under is 8 across the board. Which Rangers offense are we going to get tonight? The Joey Gallo K or the Joey Gallo HR, Jeff? Against Garrett Richards, if you take a look at some future numbers out there, he's been decent. He can be had a little bit from the right-hand side. He's done very well versus left-handed bats. And we know, Jeff, the Rangers do like to stack it out there with a lot of left-handed bats. If we take a look at from a Cole Hamels standpoint, fantastic on the road versus left-handed bats. But then again, Jeff, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim like to stack it, and their damage comes from the right-handed side, which he's been okay with here. If I'm looking at this game, I think Richards can hold that Texas team down. I think Hamels can turn in a professional effort. Give me the under 8 in this one.
Gallo is an interesting story, Donnie, because Joey Gallo has 15 home runs. He's actually been a pretty good home run hitter. But you look at – basically he's on pace to hit 50 home runs, okay? So you look at every other player that has 15 or more home runs, they all have an OPS plus of 143 to 209.
Yeah.
Joey Gallo has an OPS plus of 92. That's 8% lower than league average. The only other player to ever hit 50 home runs in a season, there's 29 other people. As far as what we're looking at here, the only other one was Andrew Jones. He had he had an OPS plus of 136. That was the lowest. Joey Gallo is 92. I mean, Joey Gallo is about as useless at the plate other than home runs. I mean, he's also an automatic out with 2 strikes, a .75 batting average, and he strikes out 65% of the time when he has 2 strikes. just totally all or nothing, truly. Yeah, as far as this game, though, I like Garrett Richards a lot. This guy's had a nice little season as well. Come back and pitch pretty well for the most part. I kind of like your under as well. Texas's bats have seemingly gone quiet. They're only hitting 228 against right-handers this year. The problem with Cole Hamels is, can he keep the ball in the park? Home runs are always an issue with him. But the Angels don't necessarily hit lefties. And you look at the Angels at home, 223. I know they got it going last night, and I actually took the run line with the Angels last night. I had a little play on that. But in this spot, under looks pretty good. Good call.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's more of a pitcher's ballpark than hitter's ballpark out there. Just the way it sets up here. They're not like the Rangers can get it going, especially even when they're at home, when they get hot. But they're not a fundamentally sound lineup. So when you're taking a look at overs, it's all or nothing. Like they need 4 home runs with like a guy on first base to get that 8 spot. You know what I mean? If you're going to look for, let's get a guy on, or like the Rangers aren't good at 3 straight base hits to move everybody around the bases. That's what hurts over-unders, and especially when you're going against a decent pitcher. This isn't Globe Life Park, Jeff, where you're going against like Phil Hughes, where you can just like light him up down there and just like hit bomb after bomb. You're going to have to work Garrett Richards over in this instance. And again, not a hitter's ballpark. If it was a more fundamentally sound offense, you would like the 8, but don't give me, I'm going to get a leadoff double backed up by 3 straight strikeouts. Give me the leadoff double and 2 ground balls and the runner scores. Just not a believer in that Rangers offense.
No, I agree.
All right, we'll keep it going, Jeff, down the list. 2 more games left up here, 977, 978. Chris Archer and Marco Gonzalez up in Seattle, 57% of the early tickets, Jeff, coming in on the Seattle Mariners. This one, a late night game, 10-10 start on the West Coast. Opens up, pedestrian, Jeff, 118, 120. Now sitting at 125. So numbers look about right. And I do like Marco Gonzalez at home in that big ballpark. He does seem to pitch very well against right-handed batters, but lefties can touch him up a little bit, which, hey, sometimes the Rays, when to get after it, they'll put lefties in. But normally in an offense in Major League Baseball, if you have a lefty, you like to stack the plate versus the right-handed side. That's not the way to attack Marco Gonzalez. We'll see what we get at Archer today, Jeff. An over-under of 8 across the board. Archer on the road, pedestrian numbers. You can get after him from both the left and the right side out there. Not hammer him there, but as I talked about Marco Gonzalez, Jeff, at home, 4.46 FIP, 6.62 xFIP versus the left-hand side. But again, most teams stack it up versus the right-hand side, which he has very good numbers versus at home. If I'm looking at this game, Jeff, I think Archer can get by and be passable here. Again, I would lean towards the under 8 here in Seattle.
Yeah, I agree. Archer's starting to really look good. I mean, last 3 starts, 18 2/3. He's only given up 1 measly earned run against Boston. He has looked real good. Marco Gonzalez, on the other hand, has looked pretty damn good as well. He's on a 19 1/3 scoreless streak. He's looked great. I'm telling you, Donnie, right now, every time I get the opportunity with you on a show, this Seattle Mariners team, look out. They're a good baseball team. They're good at home. They hit the baseball. They're starting to get a bit more healthy. They have a pretty good rotation. I like this team. Pretty good bullpen, good closer. I like this Seattle team. They're a team that I'd look out for out in the AL West. I like the under here. It looks like a real strong play. I think a lot of people will think that Archer, hasn't really been able to get it going. But even after everything this year, Donnie, ERA just above 4. He's really bringing those numbers down. Both these pitchers looking real good. Under 8 looks pretty good here.
Yep, last game on the board, 979, 980, and we'll save the last game of the day for the biggest game pitcher you've ever seen out there. If there is a big game out there, Jeff, nobody I'd rather pitch for me than big game James Shields. 979, 980, Chaseen versus Shields. 85%, Jeff, are not trusting the biggest big game pitcher in Major League Baseball and going with Chaseen on the road. Opened up at -140, -145. Now seeing Chaseen, Jeff, in the mid-150s here. If we're taking a look, sneaky over-under type game, 9 across the board, so you got to get 10 to score in that one. Chaseen on the road, Jeff, can be had by left-handed bats there, an xFIP of 6.08. His right-handed numbers aren't even all that good at 4.47. Very pedestrian. If we take a look at James Shields, he could be hit from both the left and the right side. Not as astronomical as he's been in the past, but he is still hittable. It's a formidable lineup that the Milwaukee Brewers throw out each and every time. And keep in mind, that Chicago White Sox lineup, a little bit sneaky at times here. Wonder if they can get over that over 9 there, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm not running to bet the over in this game. Shields has actually pitched pretty well. And, Chaseen has been very good. Yeah, I'm not interested in this game. I'd be interested in Milwaukee, but seems like they don't ever cover the run line, even though they are, I believe, number one in the majors in covering the run line. It seems like lately they haven't covered it, especially when Chacin pitches. They're always winning by run. If you can kind of understand where I'm going here, I have no opinion in this game. It's a tough one. I'm not laying 150 with Chacin. Pass.
Yeah, no, and that brings up the card there. We have look, we're through the hour right now, but we'll spend a couple minutes here. I know there's a lot of other topics there across the board on the weekend. Let's have some fun. We'll hit the chat box for a little bit, see what's what. Looking overall at the baseball card, Jeff, just to recap. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I was just going to give out some.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Yep. Here's what I'm looking at right now. Have I bet these games yet? But these are major on my dartboard today that we're going to take a look at. Cincinnati, San Diego, that over-under hovering at 8.5 at this point. I'm leaning towards the under at this point. We'll wait to see some lineups in there. If I can get some, at least 4 left-handed bats from the San Diego side, I'm really going to like that game. Then I'm going to look at more of the under, as I call it in the big humidor out there with Miami and Arizona. That number sitting at about 7.5 out there. It is double juice, but I think that game is more likely to stay under the total than go over in that one. Also, the Cleveland Indians game, Jeff, at this point, it's 147. I think Cleveland's going to end up winning this ball game overall, but I do agree with you, Jeff. Maybe a run line first drive is a good one, but I even like the Cleveland team total over even better for the full game. I actually like it, Jeff, theoretically. If you wanted to even split half your bet, team total over in the first 5 innings versus Lance Lynn, and then also take advantage of that bullpen secondary if you wanted to split something up. And then last but not least, looking at that Tampa Bay-Seattle game, Jeff, normally I'm an over player, but I'm looking under 8 runs in that game because you brought up a good point. Archer's rounding back into form, a massive ballpark out there, and Marco Gonzalez does have good numbers at home, leaning towards the under in that one. Go ahead, man. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm on that as well, under 8. I'm also liking the Detroit Tigers, plus 130. I like Cleveland. I might just lay the run line there, minus 1.5, plus 105. You're going to get those 9 at-bats. I actually like the Yankees as well on the run line. I think they get the Gausman pretty hard here. I think Tanaka pitches well. Other than that, probably my favorite play of the day going to be Detroit, plus 130.
There you go. So we got a couple, Jeff. Tonight, hockey game. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. The only thing I'm rooting for in hockey at this point is for the series to go as long as possible because I like the way these two teams play hockey out there, Jeff. 137, 127, 135. You see all those numbers. Over, under 5.5 as we head out to Washington. I don't have a play on this game. I don't cap hockey. I'm just looking for a good game out there, Jeff. How about you tonight in the NHL?
Yeah, by the way, call me for locks anytime, 281-330-8004. I'll hook you up. Mark Lewis, give it a rest, man. I mean, seriously. Do you ever just come in here and share good info? How many people can give me locks? I mean, settle down, bro.
Now, see, the number I gave out right there. See, I'm an old head, so old heads would actually pick up on that cell phone number right there. Let me know if anybody did. Go ahead, Jeff.
Big man, it's about time you show me some love. Day one supporter. Well, I wouldn't say you're a day one supporter. I don't remember you on Spreaker and all those.
Yep, he was there. He was there under his burner accounts, Jeff.
And I've also seen him on other shows calling me out. So Teddy B, all love is lost. There you go. Shout out Teddy B. But you've not been around since the beginning, but you have been around. Shoddy K, Best Gambler, Scott Weaver, they've all been, and Scott Weaver's a great capper in his own right. They've all been around. Who has been around since the beginning on this chat right now? Guan White. I mean, Guan White's been around a long time. Good supporter. Kyle Hamburg. All the guys have been good supporters. I mean, all these people are good people. But, it's all love here. Mark Lewis, give it a rest, though. As far as that game, hockey game, Golden Knights, baby. Let's go, brothers. Lock it up, as Blackjack Fletcher would say. Let's go, brothers. Listen, I won't bet this game. I'm just kind of hoping they win. I got a future. I'm all over it. Hopefully they can finish it out. NASCAR picks. I did a video. Feel free to check that out. Really like both Busch brothers this week, Kyle and Kurt. Kurt giving out 20-1 odds. I think he gets the job done this week. A really good driver to take at Pocono Motor Speedway in the scenic Pocono Mountains. Looking forward to it. Check that video out on SB.
Yeah, Jeff, by the way, before we get out of here, carbon copy tomorrow night, since we won't be on the air tomorrow. Cleveland Cavaliers, Golden State Warriors, 11.5, 12s, almost the same identical total, Jeff. I believe it opened up like 214 and stretched up to around 217 by tip-off, but you're getting that same thing, 215, 216. Now, look, sometimes you like to play against the public. What is the groundswell theory right now is Cleveland had their shot. They're disappointed in the locker room. That took a lot of air out of them. Golden State, therefore, will air them out in game 2. Your thoughts on that theory, Jeff, from the public?
I get the theory that they're going to be just down and not play well, but I mean, I don't think LeBron really has that in him. Like, he doesn't really do that sort of thing. He doesn't really like take nights off because he's, in the playoffs, sick of, he's mad about what happened. I mean, he's had some time to think about it. It is what it is. You got to move on. I'm looking over the number. I mean, I'm going to stick with that until these teams decide to play defense. I just don't really see either team getting any stops. You look at the first game. It's not like Cleveland, everyone other than LeBron shot the ball well. They did as a team, but you look at certain guys, Jeff Green, Clarkson, Korver, none of them shot the ball well. They only shot the ball 44%. I think they get it going a bit more offensively. I think this game goes way over the number. Golden State, they don't seem to ever miss, and Cleveland's not going to stop them either. So I'd be looking over the number.
All right, my man, it is time for us to go dig into the rest of this Major League Baseball card. Have fun, barbecue, whatever you folks are doing out there. Glad you spent some time with us. Me and Jeff will be here every single Saturday with you folks throughout the summer here at SBR Sports Picks. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button down low. Every time our ugly faces go live here on the channels, tune in to the chat box, yell at us, laugh at us, give us some information. Love it, man. We have a lot of fun today, Jeff. Lead us out of here, man.
Yeah, hopefully everyone has a great weekend. Be safe and don't do anything I wouldn't do, but no, there's not much I wouldn't do. So everyone have a great night. We fly off into the sunset of a Saturday evening filled with good people and good food and all sorts of different things. Everyone have a great weekend. Thanks to all the great participation. Remember, if you want winners, 281-330-8004. Ready to roll. Everyone have a great night.